Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to install the MinIO High Performance Object Storage platform to support our GitHub Enterprise server that we installed previously. GitHub Enterprise server has three storage profiles that are supported. One by MinIO, which we're going to install, and the other one is the AWS buckets, and then of course Azure Blob. The thing here is it needs to have S3 protocol support. I have set this up previously with Ceph, but it's not a supported storage configuration, so I've opted to install MinIO and get it tested here in my lab for actions and for packages. So we're going to set up those buckets once we get this installed. So MinIO, just so you know, it is also supported in a production grade cluster. It does also support erasure coding, but it's really easy to set up, and I hope I can demonstrate that for you here today. You don't need individual disks. It can create files, but if you want a production system, obviously you would want multiple disks. You will need a minimum of 4 folder or partitions. You'll see that as we go through the setup to support erasure coding. If you just had a single path and no additional drives, it would just store it as unreplicated volume that is not erasure coded. So it gives you plenty of options to test the performance and just to test the protocol for use. So we're gonna get this set up in our lab environment. I've also got DNS already set up for minio.redcloud.com, and I've generated certificates because I want to be able to leverage TLS support for my configuration as well. A couple of prereqs. So my GitHub instance is up and running, but I had to modify it to 64 gigs. So we've got, I think, where is it? Yeah, 64 gig of memory here. That's the minimum to support actions, so keep that in mind. I could probably squeeze some more CPU here, but it's already up and running. I just think 64 gigs should be fine. I mean, I'm only using 3 right now, so I'll see what this looks like later, but if you look at the specifications, 64 is what's required. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the VM started. I'm not going to make you wait for all of that. So once we get the VM created, then I'll jump ahead for you. All right, so we're just going to do a new VM, say MinIO, and that's fine. And we'll put it right here because I want to support my vSAN, and we'll put this all on vSAN for storage. And I'm jumping ahead because I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to create a VM. Feel free to slow it down if you just need to see what I'm doing. Okay, so for CPUs, it's not going to need a lot. I'll say 4 CPUs, let's say 16 gig of memory. I'm not really sure how much it's going to need. The primary disk, 16 gig, should be fine. I'm going to be running Fedora here. My vSAN, I want to make sure I select that. It will need a separate disk for the data store, so we'll just create a new hard disk here. Let's say 250 gig. That should be good to start. And then vSAN. There we go. And then let me select my Red Cloud network. And I think this instance, yeah, we could support 10 gig. And then I will grab my ISO, Fedora, and Fedora 35 server. That's what I'm looking for there. And we'll connect it and finish. And once this gets built, we'll boot that up. I will go ahead and get it installed, transfer my SSH key, and get all the patches done. And once that's finished, we'll go ahead and rejoin this video, or I'll rejoin this video, and then we'll go through setting up MinIO together. Okay, see you in just a minute. All right, so our server's been installed and patched, and I went ahead and transferred up the certificates that I'm going to be using. I put them in temp, list temp. So I've got my CA and then the cert and key for this host. All right, that's as far as I've gotten so far. Now we know that we have a 250 gig partition, right, that we've allocated to this host. So let's go ahead and mount that up. First we'll fdisk it. And then we'll create a file system. Great. And then we'll add it to fstab. We're going to put it in a mount point called data store. There we go. So let's create that. So make dir data store. And now we have to create a user too. So we'll user add MinIO, and then we'll give it shell bin false. Okay, and then we'll change the permissions to data store to be MinIO. So there we go. All right, clear. Okay. Now we've got the certs loaded. We've got the partition created. Oh, we forgot to mount it. That'd be helpful. Mount data store. And there we go. That's mounted. Okay, clear. And let's see, we got the certs up. We created the partition. We created the directory. We went ahead and mounted it. Created the user. All right, so let's create our directories that we're going to use to store the certificates. So we'll do make dir p, because there's going to be a series of them, Etsy, MinIO, certs, CAs. Yep. Okay, then we'll put our certs in the certs subdirectory, and then we'll create, or we'll put the CA in the CAs. Oh, yeah, so there's one other thing. So the names have to be, for the cert, it's going to be public cert when you copy it in there, and the key will be private key when you copy it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and move this, and we'll put it here, and we'll call it public cert, like that. And then we'll move temp MinIO to here, and we'll call it private key. It's expecting these names. And then our CA, we'll just put in CA. So we'll move temp CA to here. Okay, good. Let's see, what's next? So well, we need to go ahead and download the binary. So let's grab, I've got this off screen. This downloads it. You can get this from the MinIO Quick Start as well. So definitely check that out. But I'll include all the links in the script for installing this. So we'll pull down this binary. It's about 11, I think maybe 150 meg actually. So this is going to take a minute. I'll be right back when it's downloaded. Okay, yeah, so it's downloaded about 105 meg there. Let's go ahead and go to the next step, which is to chmod it. So it's executable. MinIO, and then we'll move that to user local bin. Great. Okay, so that's done. This is Fedora, so let's disable SC Linux temporarily. No, set enforce 0. Okay, and then I want to put in the firewall rules. So firewall Cmd. Firewall, so yeah, Cmd, add port, and we need 443 for TLS, add port 9000, TCP permanent, and firewall Cmd reload. Okay, so we need to create our environment file. So that goes under vi Etsy default MinIO. And I've got this already created off screen. I'll go through it. Let me copy that. All right, so what I'm going to be doing here is creating subdisks. So there'll be 6 folders that it will create. Data store, disks, it'll create those under that directory for me. And then I've got some options here that I'm loading. So we've got the external address, which is minio.redcloud.lan 443. So we're going to enable TLS. The console address is going to look for port 9000. I'm pointing to the certs directory. Remember, we put them under etc minio certs. So that's there. And then the MinIO temporary root user and root password is MinIO admin. So that's there. You don't necessarily have to do this. You can just run it at the command line. But what I'm in the process of doing is setting this up for systemd. So it'll just start. And it's a little bit of a manual process to get that done. So that's why we're creating all these files. Okay. So now we need to create our service. So we'll do vi se systemd system, and then MinIO system. No, service. Yep, all right. And then I think I got this off screen too. 1 second. Copy. Okay, so we've got the executable file is right there. We're enabling a non-root user to use port 443, so we've added this capability, and there's one more command we need to run to get this to work, but that's why that's there. The working directory, user local, no big deal. User and group that we created was MinIO, if you remember that. And then executable file. Most of this is pretty standard. Here's the default environment file that we just created. Yeah, that looks okay. All right, so save that. All right, so now we've created our environment file, we created our MinIO systems file, and now all we have to do is do that capabilities again, because we're having a non-root user use a port lower than 1024. So we're setting capability to that user local bin MinIO. Okay, so that's done, and then we could just system ctl enable MinIO. Now let's create the link, system ctl start MinIO, and I'll just give it a couple seconds, and we'll check the status, system ctl status MinIO. Oh, failed. What did I forget? Okay, failed because I forgot to, after I mounted this after I changed the permissions, and now the permissions are not set properly. So let's change the permissions there again. So chown MinIO. This is a pretty common thing. This happened to me when I was testing it out before too. Data store. Oops, let's put the slash in front. There we go. Okay, so now we can do system ctl restart MinIO and give it a hot second. System ctl status MinIO. Okay, now it's up and running. That's what we want to see. So definitely double check those permissions. I got burned on that a couple of times. Okay, so we got our MinIO set. Now let's jump into the UI for that. Which, if you recall, our console port was 9000, and then MinIO admin, MinIO admin, and we've got our buckets. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a couple of buckets, but we need a user also that we can assign to this. So let's look at, let's see, identity. Yeah, all right, so groups, and we'll create a group, and we'll just say get users. And then I'll add a user. Oh wait, let's go back to get users. I need to add the policy. So we'll set the policy for get users to be read write. And now I can create a user. And I've got a couple of password generator keys here off screen that I'll use for username and password keys. There we go. And then we'll assign this to our group, get users, save. Okay, so now we've got this access key assigned to our group, get users with read write access. Now we can create a bucket. Let's create 2 buckets. We'll create one get store. And I'll use this for the packages. And so we'll create store, there we go. And then let's create another one. And we'll call this get work for actions. And obviously, if you notice this, you can do versioning, object locking if you need to enable governance or compliance. You can do that, and of course, you can also apply quota. There's tons of stuff in the documentation. I'm just getting this for testing anyway, so I just want to rewrite buckets so we'll be able to allocate storage to. All right, so now we've got that done. Let's take a look at, well, actually, you want to test this. So let's download S3 Cmd. So I can just do DNF install S3 Cmd. Yes. This will allow us just to run some tests to make sure we can see these buckets before we provision them into our GitHub instance. Okay. And then S3 Cmd configure. This will walk us through setting that up. So we've got our access key there, our secret key, copy there. Region US is fine. Endpoint will be MinIO.redcloud.land:443. And the same for this, MinIO. Oh, how did I don't know what I did there. Okay, so let's cancel this. We'll reconfigure it. Okay, access key. Secret key. US. And then here we'll do MinIO.redcloud.land:443. There we go. And then we'll use the same thing here. No encryption password, no PGP, yes. And test credentials, yes. Yep, certificate issue, no problem. Retry configuration, no. Save it, yes. And then we can VI SCFG. VI root S3C. Okay, and then cert file location, and that was Etsy MinIO certs, and then CAs ca.cert. Okay, now we should be able to hopefully S3 Cmd list. Yep, all right, so now we can see our two buckets. So that's great, so we have access to those buckets. Okay, so now we're able to test that. Let's go ahead and we'll move this screen over here and click the rocket ship, and then I have to log in with my I don't know if I need that one, so get admin, yeah, all right. And then come down here to I think it's just management console. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then log in with my password here if I can remember what it was. There we go. Okay, now we can go to actions and then enable actions and then S3, and here we'll use those credentials for those buckets again. Oh, wrong thing. Sorry, here, and then we'll grab this, copy, put that here. Service URL is, my mouse is very touchy. It is HTTPS. No, I think I can just do MinIO.redcloud.land:443. And then the bucket for actions is get work. Force the path style, and then let's test that. You have to test it in order to move on. Notice right here it says actions cannot be configured unless you've had a successful test. So we'll just verify this. Unable to connect. All right, let's try it again. I did something wrong. MinIO.redcloud.land. Get work. Let me copy those keys in again. Copy, paste, Copy, paste, test. All right, it's maybe needed HTTPS. Get work, right? Get work. MinIO redcloud.land 443. Yeah, should be right. So that's done. And then packages. And you can copy the settings and then uncheck it. That way you get most of the stuff down here, which is the same. Oh, my mouse. Which is the same, except for my bucket is git store. And just like with actions, you have to test it or you can't proceed. So we'll test the storage. This should be successful. Okay. Okay, after a few moments, everything's configured and we'll get this green button again, visit your instance. Let me just refresh this. I'm just curious. Oh yeah, no objects, okay. And we'll visit our instance and that should be it. Okay, so now we have access to our S3 backend buckets for Git Store and Git Work. So we're able to start leveraging GitHub Actions and Packages within our locally installed GitHub Enterprise server. That's it for this video. Thanks for hanging out and watching it. What we've done is we configured MinIO backend storage with the S3 and provided 2 buckets to our local GitHub Enterprise Server instance to leverage packages and actions. Again, thank you very much for checking out this video. I do appreciate it. And if you get anything from it, please like, subscribe, and share the video. Until next time, thanks a lot.